Hi guys, well today we're going to be taking a look at the GIGABYTE GTX 970 Xtreme Gaming. Now you might be thinking, bit of a strange time really to be reviewing a GTX 970. Well, the Xtreme Gaming range began with the 950 and soon after the success, GIGABYTE decided to open the door in November for the Titan X, the 980 Ti, the 980 and today's GTX 970. So the Xtreme Gaming range is new and it delivers some impressive lineup of features. Central to these cards really is that they are cherry picked and optimised for the very best performance and overclocking. The GTX 970 Xtreme comes with a factory overclock and uses the Windforce triple fan configuration. This cooling solution is renowned for its low noise and excellent performance. And GIGABYTE has refined the design by adding triangle cool and 3D active fan technology, as well as some bonus features such as RGB LED lighting. Now this graphics card is going to cost you in the region of £300 in the UK, and then over in the States you're looking at around $500. So you know, not the cheapest 970 that you can get your hands on, but this card does arrive with that factory overclock, that aftermarket cooler and some other intriguing features which we're going to take a look at and discover today. Right guys, well we are going to begin with a look at the packaging, do a quick unboxing on our Xtreme Gaming card. So here you can see the packaging. Very nicely designed. We've of course got that Xtreme Gaming logo there, which is really going to be essential for this line of cards. Of course down the bottom there, customary to an NVIDIA card, GameStream, GameWorks and G-Sync. Of course our card is also DirectX 12 compliant. Now if we just swap this over, flip it over onto its reverse there, we've got these integral features really which are going to be synonymous with the Xtreme Gaming line. Now the one that really stands out for me is this GPU gauntlet, which basically tells you that the cards are cherry picked to give you the very best kind of performance and overclockability. So that's good. Now of course all these features here we're actually going to have a look at as we go into the review and have a look at the card in detail. And inside this packaging we've got another box. And if we just open this out here, we have the card itself to begin with, some nice foam padding around that just to keep it protected, and it of course arrives in an anti-static bag. Just taking this cover off, we've got some bundled accessories underneath here. Well, the first thing that we've got is a sweatband. I'm not exactly sure why you would want one of those, not exactly like going on a marathon or anything, but there you go. We've got the 6-pin, dual 6-pin to 8-pin adapter. We've got the driver CD with the software quick start guide, and lastly we've got that nice case badge which you can slap on your chassis. Okay, and here is the GTX 970 Xtreme Gaming. Our card is quite large in size, but it's actually far from the biggest found under that 970 umbrella. Now the first thing that is immediately apparent is that we've got that Windforce free cooling system. This of course lends itself to having a trio of cooling fans and some other components, which we're going to go over the finer details when we detach that Windforce cooler a bit later. But from a visual standpoint, Xtreme certainly looks the business there with that two-tone metal open shroud, and if you're someone who takes a bit of care with how your components look inside your system, well this card is going to pair up and blend in nicely with other kit. Now I mentioned the size, and compared to this 4-year-old 7970 here, the Xtreme is quite similar in the proportions. So we're just going to do a quick measurement now, as many of you will be undoubtedly keen to confirm whether this card will fit inside your case. So for the length, Xtreme is round about 280mm. For the width, you're looking at 110mm, and then for the height, 40mm. Now Xtreme takes the reference settings of GTX 970 and it nudges the base clock up to 1190, and that boosts up to 1342 MHz, and then the memory clock up to 7100 MHz. And this card also arrives with 4GB of GDDR5. And so with that factory overclock applied, this means that you're going to be able to home in on better performance in game compared to a vanilla 970. And actually we managed to push the overclock even further, squeezing out an extra 13% in the full review, so be sure to go over and check that in the description. Now Xtreme is also PCI Express 3.0 compliant and is DirectX 12 ready. Now Xtreme will occupy 2 spaces on your board and your case, so make sure that you do have enough room there. And on the back panel here we have a generous selection of ports available, all of which are gold plated. So included here we have one DVI-I giving you up to 3K, triple DisplayPort 1.2s each giving you their 4K at 60Hz, and one HDMI 2.0 which also provides you with 4K at 60 Hz. So quite a lot of selection there, quite a nice choice if you're perhaps wanting to use this card for multi-display configurations, as that is quite a popular pursuit nowadays. Our Xtreme requires 8+8 pin for the power requirements and 600 watt as a minimum. Now the reference 970 uses 6+6 pin for the configuration, so a slight bump there in the specifications, but we do have to remember that this Xtreme card does make use of a custom PCB with extra components, RGB lighting, plus of course that factory overclock. Now those power ports have LEDs to indicate whether or not the power is working and is correctly plugged in. So you get a flashing LED for no connection and a solid LED if everything is okay. Right next to the power ports and part of that metal shroud, we have the WindForce emblem, which glows when the card is powered on. Now, that lighting there corresponds to the fan LEDs too, so with Xtreme, you can completely customize the lighting with OC Guru software. And since we're talking RGB LEDs, we have access there to 16.8 million colors. You can also modify the style and the speed. Right now, in the default mode, we have the colors cycling. Now further on from that WindForce logo, we of course have the customary multi-SLI ports for combining Xtreme with other cards. Now just flipping Xtreme over, on the reverse there we've got this steel backplate, which prevents the PCB from flexing and also protects the components from getting knocked. You can see various cutouts there on this backplate, which provide the components with a bit more additional ventilation. Right guys, well we've taken that WindForce cooler off the Xtreme card so that we can take a bit of a closer look at it. So the basis for the WindForce design is that we've got this heatsink which comprises of aluminium fins, and then we've got 5 8mm and 1 6mm composite copper heat pipes. And over on the other side we have the triple fan configuration. Now Gigabyte are using a special triangle design at the end of the fans, which they claim will supply 23% more airflow. And the other great thing is that these fans will stop spinning under light load to reduce the overall noise. And Xtreme has 2 corresponding LEDs to signify whether you're in stop or silent mode. And later on we're going to demonstrate how quiet these fans are and how effective the cooling is. Now having that cooler detached means that we can also take a look at the PCB. And what's great about our 970 Xtreme is that we get Titan X grade chokes and caps. And Gigabyte are also using what they call aerospace grade PCB coating. So you're going to be protected against humidity, extreme temperatures and water cooling leaks. So the ultra durable components are used throughout this board, and it adopts a 12-phase power design. So this is going to mean that this card in turn will perform better and last longer. And actually in the full review we managed to squeeze a pretty impressive overclock, which we are going to show you guys a bit later on. So at the very heart of 970 Xtreme is of course GM204 with its 28nm process, and as we already mentioned, that GPU there is factory overclocked by 13%. And so that gives you quite a nice boost really from the reference design, which should provide you with better performance in game. And next we're going to do some quick benchmarks with Xtreme to give you guys a bit of an idea of what kind of performance you can expect. So for the games, we're going to be testing out Dirt Rally, Tomb Raider, Star Wars Battlefront and The Witcher 3. And so for each of these games, since we're dealing with a mid to high end card, let's run 1080p resolution. If you want to know how this card handles 3 and 4K, then please head over to the full review as that tackles this. Right guys, well that is the gaming benchmarks complete. Hopefully that has given you a bit of an idea of what you guys can expect from the 3D performance. Now I mentioned previously that you could actually overclock this card beyond the factory overclock and squeeze even more performance out of it. So we've got Tech Power Up's GPU Z on the screen. We've already applied the best overclock that we can get. You can see there the default clock speed is 1190 and we bumped it up to 1350. And then for the memory, the default is 1774 and we've got it up to 1974. So, you know, quite a substantial amount there applied to that. Now that is only worth its weight in gold when we've actually verified that it is stable. So we've got Unigen's Valley open and we're going to be running a benchmark just to verify that for you guys to confirm that it is stable. Now while we do so, I'm just going to go into the sensors and we're going to make sure that we've got the highest reading for the GPU temperature. I want to show you guys what you guys can expect from the temperatures, you know, how hot this card actually gets when we've got that overclock applied to it, you know, squeezing even more performance. It's working harder, so it will generate a little bit more heat, but this will give you an idea of what sort of temperatures you can expect. And towards the end of the test, I'm also going to take my microphone off and get it close to the fans to give you guys a bit of an idea of the noise levels. Okay, and here is a reading of the noise levels. Okay, and there we go, that is complete. So that shows you, you know, rock solid, no problems at all, that is stable. And if we just come out of this benchmark and we can have a look at the temperatures. So there we go, 59. And remember, this is beyond the actual default setting, so this is an overclock on top of an overclock. And you can see there, 59 was the maximum that we got on that GPU clock. So, you know, with the factory overclock, it only actually, if you go to the full review, you can actually see there, it kind of maxes out at 54. So, you know, this card is super quiet and super cool. Right guys, well there you have it, the new GIGABYTE GTX 970 Xtreme Gaming. And I don't know what you guys think, but I certainly think that this is a top pick if you're planning to go down that route of the GTX 970. Pretty much nails everything, you know, the physical appearance, sleek, stylish, RGB lighting as an option as well. And then the cooling, super low temperatures, even if you do apply your own overclock beyond the factory overclock. Low noise, even if all the fans are spinning under load, this card is whisper quiet, but even if we're under light load, as you can see there, the fans stop spinning for zero noise. And then we come onto the performance. You know, it's pretty much up there with the best 970s on the market, and it's a good option for you guys if you're perhaps wanting similar performance to a reference 980. But further than that, as you've seen, we managed to squeeze even more performance out of this card, pushing that GPU and the memory clock speeds up to quite a significant mark. So all in all, this is a pretty special card. Now guys, if you're wanting to know how Xtreme Gaming handles 3 and 4K resolutions, different games, then please head over to the full review, which is going to be on the screen and in the description. We've got a bit more detail over there if you guys are wanting to know. And that's pretty much it for me today, guys. Thanks for taking the time out to watch. If you did enjoy this video, then please smash that like button. And if you want a bit of a sneaky behind the scenes bit of content between these videos as to what is going on, then please hit us up over on Instagram. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video.